we're live.
And we are very high.
Yeah, we're tiny. Sorry, I had to reorient the camera.
No worries.
And yes, so this will be the low cast, right?
Or high cast, depending.
Yes.
Are people looking down or up? I don't know.
If you like Headspace, we got the live stream for you.
There you go. And coffee, yeah. Well, now no one, depending on how low we are, no one can see our clothes.
Yeah, right. That's right. We can hide all of our logos. So how is everybody doing? Let me get the chat up here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, I got to lower the lower
there's always next week.
Yes, right. There's always next time. It's not like we're gonna
Plus,
not do
we have to
one
give the patrons something to complain about so that they actually pay.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. Make that unhappiness work with the algorithm there. All right. So I think we're good.
Nice.
We should be live in various places. Who knows? Oh, actually. Oh, yeah. It did. Yeah. Notifications went out. All right.
The notification is usually how I know. Oh, time to leave for work.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay. Sorry. Just trying to get everything positioned. Okay. Yeah. This is this is a low cast. I need a little booster seat. Yeah. Sorry. I tipped it up a little bit further.
It's like one of the ones in the movie. You need a booster seat like in the movie theater.
Yeah. Now we have all the room to do word balloons and things above us, and thought balloons and all that good
Which
stuff.
is why it's empty.
Right. That's right. That's nothing going on. Yeah. All right. So how's it going?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Better.
So what is tell me a little bit about Xenos Rampant.
Oh, I know nothing about it other than no, that's not true. So it's based on, I forget the people's names, but Lion Rampant, which is kind of like a medieval wargaming thing with actual historical characters, if you want to use
cool.
them. Recently released a second edition, and I think from what I read, people online were using the original Lion Rampant rules to kind of do sci-fi stuff, and the creator said, I like what you're doing, let's kind of team up to make this Xenos Rampant.
That's
which
great.
Is unlike Stargrave or Planet 28 or some of the other ones, the sense I get is that Xenos Rampant is big battles, right? So kind of maybe not as big as 40K, but I just kind of wanted to see what was going on with it. Plus, the Osprey deal, you get a free sprue of Stargrave troopers with it. So I'm like, since I just found a use for those Stargrave troopers, let's get 5 more.
That's a deal.
Along with a set of rules. So, yeah. So, other than that, I don't know what's kind of in it or what its deal is. Maybe it's going to be like, not the same as Oathmark, because it's a different author, but maybe like kind of like Oathmark, but science fiction. And there are a couple of army deals where, you can buy the rules along with a bunch of Stargrave sprues to build armies.
Right. Yeah, it looked interesting. I think the little summary, it said like 30 to 50 models. That's a pretty good army. Yeah, I'm curious about the rule set for that too. Yeah, so we'll be talking about, there's a new Skirmish game on the market or coming soon, and just what we need, another one.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see.
You can never have too many. It's funny, and you are. I don't know if you saw my tweet or a horrible. Like I saw that. The Oathmark 5 for 4 deal, and I'm like, I really don't need. This is what it's 30 per box. I really don't need 150 fantasy models,
right?
Or do I? Right? And then it's like, by the way, I'm getting the Oathmark deal. I'm like,
let's divide that up. Yeah. Well, it's great because the it's like old school because it's on sprues and it's very customizable. Like every limb and everything is separate, so you can build it. And like they're offering, Stargrave into a more mass battle game. They're letting you build troops, and because I think one of the deals with the Xenos Rampant is the cultists from Frostgrave. Yeah. So, but you can customize them, put some sci-fi backpacks on them, and you've
or even one of the. I think one of the Stargrave Last Prospector deals will give you this package deal where you get like a sprue or 2 of the Oathmark Dwarf Light Infantry to combine with the Stargrave arms to make yourself, kind of Stargrave squat. And that's why I was looking at some of the Oathmark things going, okay, I could use like elves and just put a couple like new Stargrave arms on them. I tried some of my Fire Forged dwarves with Stargrave sci-fi arms, and I'm like, no, y'all are way too stunty for my taste. No, elves all the way, right? But I don't think the skeletons would work very well because they're just a bit too bony. But anything with kind of like, reasonably human-sized arms would work. So
that's cool.
I would be interested in like the undead stuff for Necropolis 28, that undead skirmish war game. That's why I'm just like, again, I don't need 30 skeletons.
We'll
but if you split stuff up, that's fine.
we'll just cut bits off of sprues. It'll be a shared bits box sprue.
Great use out of the Frostgrave cultist stuff, because there were a few skeleton arms in that.
And
you put a skeleton head and a couple skeleton arms on an armored body. Boom, like armored white. Right?
Oh yeah.
Even the barbarians with a zombie head, it's like an instant burly zombie. I'm like, there you go. So those kits combine in fantastic ways.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So that's North Star Miniatures, right? Yeah. They have some good stuff, and they're the official for most of the Joseph McCullough games.
Yeah, they also do Rangers of Shadows too.
Oh, yeah. So they do nice sets for those. So, hey, finally got the chat up here.
Yay.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? Oh, that's right. Yeah, Matt's got trash internet because he's visiting family.
Oh.
Nice hotel internet. Hey, Miguel, how's it going? Warzone tried and change the scale once. It didn't work. I expect Shatterpoint. Oh, yeah. We're going to be talking some Shatterpoint.
Okay. Nice.
And GW's Inquisitor. That was 54.
That was 54.
Yeah, that's big.
It was really cool. Mm-hmm. Really expensive.
Oh, right.
And
was
not supported very well. No, this was
metal.
This was back when they were metal, right? So I'm like, that's awesome stuff. But like, your warband is like 6 to 7 to 8 of these. I'm like, that's cool. You've only got 5 named characters. So, yeah.
Wow.
Now that with 3D printing out, that could probably make a comeback, though.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true. Nice. Yeah, we need something swinging above us occasionally because we've got so much space. There needs to be an acrobat or something making it worth all that headspace.
Like you said, thought balloons.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I can throw up some Christmas decorations.
Can we get past Thanksgiving first?
Yeah, that's the brutal thing here. We don't have the Thanksgiving buffer, so it's like Halloween and then Santa is sitting right next to the
There's no and. Monday the 31st, I was walking around going, you are literally showing Christmas decorations next to the Halloween decorations. Right. What am I looking at? Like, Nightmare Before Christmas is the only time when you can mix those two things, and you're not even doing that.
Yeah, that's that.
Which is odd, because as mad as people are for Disney here, you would think that would be kind of a bigger thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's much bigger in the States. I don't see that cosplay much or anything. Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's get this going. Yeah. Do this thing. Actually, be able to control these scenes. Hey, all right. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, Star Wars Skirmish game, Regency Cthulhu by Chaosium, Heroescape Return in Doubt, and Edgerunners in Cyberpunk Red. So a lot of licensed IP and not a lot of indie on the menu this week.
The indie was pre-cast.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we talked smaller games. So let's start out with our first licensed game. Star Wars Shatterpoint is coming. Okay. So this is Atomic Mass Games, who also does that Marvel game that is popular. So I think they've got the IP to make this happen. So there's a video trailer up. Atomic Mass Games through Asmodee is going to be producing I guess it's just called a Star Wars themed skirmish game, and it looks like from the trailer, there's a video trailer, the link will be in the description, it's all going to be kind of Clone Wars era stuff. Prequel era stuff.
Okay, there is another Star Wars miniatures game
made by almost the same. It's under Asmodee.
Yeah, it's under Asmodee. But it seems okay. I'm not really into Star Wars anymore, but it seems pretty popular. Like on the miniatures tag in Instagram, there's always lots of things that looked maybe a little bit bigger than a skirmish. Where
I think it was.
Have maybe like 20, 30 models, but I couldn't tell what era that was. Later ones, because Stormtrooper and Empire is an option. But if this is like the Clone Wars era, maybe they got that license because of how eras in Star Wars, no one can see my hands, are broken up. Right?
Yeah, it's so it's all under Asmodee because those are Fantasy Flight games. So Fantasy Flight did Star Wars X-Wing miniatures, Star Wars Armada, and the Star Wars Legion is what you're talking about. Yeah, and they did release a new starter set for Star Wars Legion that is Clone Wars era.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going on clearance as we speak. No, I don't know. But a lot of people though, that game definitely is popular because if you look on the 3D printing sites, there's a ton of Star Wars terrain for 28 mil. And so it must be for supporting Legion. But the thing that sucks, and if they do the same thing with this game, is they're going that X-Wing route where you got to buy everything because there's cards and there's rules and stuff that you're not going to be able to get anyway else but buying the actual
sucks sets. Or is smart?
Well, no, I think it sucks because it's you know, like with X-Wing, you literally should buy every ship that comes out because there are neutral cards in there that you can use, and unless you're going to proxy cards, you know, unless you've got friends and you're sharing.
And how are you going to get the files anyway, right?
Right.
Or well, like you said, friends that are sharing cards.
Yeah,
like, you all kind of go in on a box and only kind of get half of a set. Really,
right? Yeah, it's not ideal, and Games Workshop is picking up on this. They're doing that same sort of thing now with their games that have cards now for their characters,
War Scrolls or whatever.
Yeah. So the more of their like boxed games are imitating this model. So it's really really frustrating that this is the new model.
Well,
but
I guess tangent. I always kind of felt like the Games Workshop box, fair enough, was kind of like nice initial force. Really kind of feel like I'm missing something to make this whatever faction not playable, but like decent, right? Which, as a company, why would you not, right? If you give a player everything they need in the box, they're never going to buy anything else.
Right.
On the other hand, it's like, I would like this to be able to be fun and playable right out of the box.
Yeah.
So, did Legion use their funky dice?
Probably, yeah. I think it was the same. It was under the same kind of design, so we may use those custom dice. So that we might see that again. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen the Marvel Protocol, Crisis Protocol.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I think it's basically going to be a reskinned, Star Wars version of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So they've got the name characters like Ahsoka, Tano, Bo-Katan.
All these people I don't.
And later it's not Darth Maul. It's cut in half Lord Maul. So he's got the spider legs. Yeah. That'll be a better mini, at least. More fun to paint. So, there's a quote from the company. Since our launch in 2019, Atomic Mass Games has been on an incredible upward trajectory of growth in both terms of business and our skill as a creative studio. So there's going to be redundant miniatures now between Legion and I guess there probably will be. That's a little odd.
Well, was there any indication that they're just kind of using the Legion rules in a different?
No, I think it's the Marvel
setting?
Protocol rules.
Yeah.
So it's whatever that game is, and I don't have any experience with that. That's popular too, though, and that's probably why they're doing this because these licensed IP skirmish games are becoming popular. There's several of them now. They even did a Cyberpunk Red Monster Fight Club. We talked about that last year. They did an officially licensed skirmish game, so not connected to the RPG, but skirmish game for Cyberpunk Red.
I don't know. Like we always talk about, if you don't have these things from an IP game, are you playing that IP? Right? Like, again, I have no experience with Star Wars Legion. I'm sure there are the named characters in there, but a lot of the figures I see are kind of like, not generic, but obviously the no-name rebel troopers or whatever.
Right.
But like we were kind of talking before the cast, there's any number of games to do that already, right? Like, I guess if you want the official Star Wars one, it's there. But people who just say, I want to play a Star Wars-esque game, what about all these other ones where I can just use the figures and play games?
Yes.
So this new Shatterpoint, I kind of get it. You're like, nope, here's your Darth Vader, and I'm way out of the loop, so I'm not going to name any of these other characters. But like, here's all your named characters that are tent poles of the IP, and you're going to want to play, and there's what's going to attract maybe casual, and I don't use it as pejorative, but like people were kind of like, I want to play a game. Oh, that looks cool. I know these characters. Let me try this out.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully once they get screwed over by having to buy cards and custom dice and be like just milked for nickel and dime for everything, they'll look at something like Stargrave or Frostgrave and think, hey, wait, I can do whatever I want with actually a good rule set. Yeah.
Ooh, tell us how you really feel about the rules. Hopefully, but then also sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm already
you dumped all this money into the game. Why not?
I'm a Shatterpoint. Yeah. Well, and people are more like that than ever. They're so brand loyal.
But you know what? As someone who has dumped, I don't know how much money into various kits because I think, I'm going to build a faction for that. I'm going to build a faction for that game. I'm going to build a faction for that game. I just dropped like $40.
Right.
Fucking backpacks to enhance these Stargrave troopers, right?
Nice.
If you do sunk cost fallacy, at least it's kind of one, right? Nope, I'm in. I'm doing this instead of. There should be an alternative, like scatter cost fallacy, right? Well, I can't get out of this hobby because I have all my fingers in all these pies, right?
Lost cost reality. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they say one of the key differences between Shatterpoint and Legion is that it's a focus on smaller strike team size. So yeah, probably like half a dozen or less figures. There's thematic squads, mix and match characters to create custom squads. And they also, so the thing they talk about, so customize, in their press release, they had like their little bullet points. So customize, create a Star Wars squad that is truly unique when they're beautiful miniatures. The squad building invites players to create custom strike teams to be optimized for various mission objectives. And in the battle, there are evolving mission objectives. So things change maybe round to round to make it a little more interesting and to give you reason to add certain characters or whatever.
Okay.
So we'll see. Another licensed thing. And Star Wars is not exactly, there's no movies coming out. So Star Wars is not exactly.
I'm not watching these people, but Andor.
Yeah, Andor is good, but I don't think anyone's watching it. I think the
my Twitter feed would say otherwise. I don't know how many fucking hashtags I have to mute just because I'm not interested.
Well, it's really good. I mean, it's actually good, and no freaking lightsabers and no CG Peter Cushing. So there's actual drama, character arcs. It's great.
To see that.
And
are there little CGI Yodas?
There are not. There's no baby Yodas.
Not interested.
It's literally an unmerchandisable show. So that's why it's good, because they're not cramming it with Easter eggs and It's like, remember this guy? Remember this guy in the background?
No, we don't remember Kid Fisto.
Yeah, and there's a prison colony. The show later episodes gets to a prison colony and have this like really nice premise, and like it shows you, like it's showing the abuse and corruption in the empire, so giving you like reasons why there was a rebellion, not just like, there was politics and there was a ugly looking guy with a robe. It gives you a lot of the characters' motivations for how the people of various worlds are being abused, and it's really good. I would recommend it if you haven't had a chance to watch Andor. And if like Rogue One was like, that's almost it, that's almost what I want, but they fucked that movie up. But
it was okay. Okay.
Andor is much better version of that. Yeah, so not so much Cthulhu monsters reading your mind and scrambling your brain.
Yeah, okay.
There was a bunch of nonsense in Rogue One.
That was the messed up point of Rogue One.
Yes. Yeah, no. So there is this Star Wars game. So if you haven't had enough Star Wars and you need more plastic Star Wars, it's coming. And I guess it's at least you're playing something. You're not just collecting, random Star Wars garbage.
Call me out like that. Why don't you?
No, but just the mint in box Star Wars collecting thing.
Okay. That I kind of don't get.
That
don't badmouth people who sit there and play with little.
Right. I'm not talking about your pile of shame. I'm talking about the people that are just buying that collector's toy market. At least this is actually a game, and you can actually be social when you're doing it.
That explains how I got my pile of shame. I'm like, I will eventually put these together and play a game with people.
Yeah. So
eventually. It keeps getting bigger.
So take a look at that link, their little YouTube trailer, and see if it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see the rule set, but I don't know if I want to invest in this to read the rules. So June 2023 is the release. They're not talking about how things are going to be released, and that's a big part of it too that makes a game good or painful to participate in, is how they release it. Yeah, to support is how they're going to release these forces and stuff. If it's very small forces and they're releasing like individual figures for like $30 or whatever, it could be a nightmare. Yeah, because I mean, if they go down that road, no. Okay. But if they follow models that other game companies use, they can, if it's a named character and it's a nice dynamic sculpt, then they can get people.
I think only Games Workshop can do what Games Workshop is currently doing, right? Like when I was at the hobby shop, I'm just like, oh, here's all your Games Workshop stuff behind the glass case. And how do you get off charging $50 for one character? Right. That is
a little tiny sprue like this for $50.
Unacceptable. But people are still buying it, obviously. So
yeah. Well, have you seen the stat line on that guy?
No, because I don't care.
In competitive play, he's unstoppable.
Yeah, good for you.
But so Atomic Mass Games will keep at it, and we'll see what other IPs they start to eat up. I just hope. Yeah, I don't know, but if people like this, if people like tabletop skirmish, there's so much else to get into, and there's even Necromunda, GW stuff. There's really good stuff out there that hopefully will kind of get you inspired to try other things, not just Star Wars. A new expansion is coming out. This might be right up your alley. Regency Cthulhu. So Chaosium is releasing it's Pride and Prejudice meets Eldritch Horror.
I kind of heard about this. Yeah, okay.
So a new source book for the popular Call of Cthulhu. Set in the world of Regency England, so Jane Austen's England, society through a bitingly satirical lens. So their press release calls it Shoggoths and Sensibility.
Okay.
So for $45 American, you can get the Cthulhu Regency set in a time of social niceties, grand balls, romantic intrigues, and disappointments, and elder gods. Yeah. Right.
Okay, I didn't follow it up, but I saw an email, and I didn't see it called Shoggoths and Sensibilities. I'm not going to get this, but I'm kind of torn, right? Mm-hmm. On the one hand, okay, there's a lot of societal rules and stuff that you would have to deal with in Regency era, and a lot of class stratification, right? And kind of where people are supposed to be and not supposed to be. And it seems like it would be cool to maybe play with that. On the other hand, like, doesn't the Cthulhu mythos kind of only happen in secret and behind the scenes?
Right.
And doesn't that kind of seem at odds with you having to interact with any kind of class stratification or social things? Like, it's not like you wouldn't be going to a party and then have to, well, okay, maybe you would have to suss out who like a Cthulhu cultist is and kind of deal with these things, and you can't just go, there they are, right? Because then you just get shunned. But that's like any Call of Cthulhu setting, right? So, I don't know. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm saying on the cover, it doesn't sound like these two things are compatible. I don't really see how they would interact, or I don't see how they would interact in any way that would be meaningful at the table.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so they talk about they add a stat. There's a new stat called Reputation. Okay. So, yeah, like you're saying, a fluctuating stat like Sanity or Luck that gives you your standing in society. So it's a currency to the world of manners and formality. And the other thing...
Which the crazy people don't care about, right?
right. Yeah, right. That's true. But they could use it to manipulate. I guess, you want your cultists to be as high status as possible. The other thing that they add is a rule set for running estates. So you can, so that can add some complexity, and maybe you can be undermined, or you can be trying to create your own little cult there. But
that would be interesting.
Yeah, so it's curious. It's a funny combination, and I wonder who they're kind of aiming this at, because there was an indie. Oh yeah, right. There was an indie RPG, the Jane Austen themed.
Yeah, which I have a copy of. I forget the name. I have all the books and the cards and stuff, and it seems really cool, and I want to play that. It's all about like kind of romance and is stepping back, and it's more story game, because like at certain points you can go, here's a token, I want to know your character's internal monologue, kind of like in letter form, right? Because that's a big thing.
Oh, interesting.
But there's like no horror in that game at all, right? I don't really know how you would introduce it into that.
Yeah,
game.
yeah, interesting.
So,
yeah. So yes, if you're interested in that kind of unusual combination, and there's a trailer for that as well to kind of introduce you to
Good Society. That's the name of the game. Good Society.
Yep. All right. So the Cthulhu free version would be
yeah, Good Society. Yeah.
If you want to play Jane Austen.
If you want to play Bad Society, then the Cthulhu Regency. Yeah.
All right. And speaking of horrifying disappointments.
Oh no.
HeroScape. Yeah, right.
No, okay, sorry.
Yeah, HeroScape. HeroScape Age of Annihilation Vanguard Edition for $250 American is unlikely to ever become a reality.
What?
So as of this recording, they are still less than half. So their target, they need 8,000 pledges or $2 million in support. And they're about at 3,500, 30
right. So
less than 36.
This was kind of the relaunch of HeroScape.
Yes. Right, right. Yeah, HeroScape. So this is about 4 days, a little bit less than 5 days left. So the prospects are looking pretty grim. And they were talking to, so Wargamer was talking to Chris Nadeau, the designer at Avalon Hill. And he brought up a couple of points, things like, Legos cost a lot, but they work kind of the same way as you can do what they're doing with this with Legos. And,
as a positive or a negative?
I think it's a negative. I think that the they're talking about, I don't know if it's the subreddit or like a chat board, maybe on the like the HeroScape community that everyone is like go go go, and then immediately support kind of just fell.
Right.
And they're not going to cross a $2 million funding threshold. So the designer says that brings up a lot of questions internally, like what are we going to do with HeroScape at this point? And would it not obviously it would not obviously be released in this format? And I think they overestimated and they made kind of a big mistake. They could have probably gotten some numbers. If there is a HeroScape community, they could have gotten some numbers, like how many people are actually on this site, and if everybody pledged this, would this actually happen? Well, and of course, for $250, that's asking a lot.
I don't doubt that they did something like that. Like someone probably ran the numbers, but I'm going to be cynical and imagine that Hasbro kind of, like we talked about before, I kind of didn't like, or it's unfortunate how this becomes now a fan responsibility, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
We have this thing, we like it, we think it's going to be successful, but we're only going to take on that risk if you show us that it's going to be successful by ponying up this ridiculous amount that's based only on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that $250 price tag just locks out anybody who wasn't already interested in HeroScape and had any kind of interest. Like, what's this? Never the mind for $250, right?
Right.
Like, why? I almost kind of want to say they did this on purpose. I have no proof for that, right?
Well, there's,
But, I mean, how could you not kind of at least start to think that? Probably not the case, but why did they not make, like, a $50 intro set or, like, even a more reasonable $100? Like, anything less than $250 to get people in, at least a taste, or even just fucking rules, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Something.
Well, one of the theories that Wargamer mentioned is that the company's new tactic, like Hasbro has said, we are focusing on our core franchises and selling or licensing off everything else. Because we talked about Renegade Games is getting all these old licenses.
Right.
So they don't care at all. And basically they just threw this in, the same way they did with HeroQuest. They threw it out there like a custom Star Wars toy or like, merchandise from a current show. And it's like, if you guys really want this, you got to pay for it first and then we'll make it.
Yeah.
And that's not a way to do crowdfunding. I mean, they don't have tiers. They don't have, you can get involved at different levels.
Right. It's just here it is.
$250, buy it or not. And if you don't, it doesn't exist.
Right.
And I really had zero interest in HeroScape because of the quality and the shoddy version of HeroQuest that they released. I was really disappointed in that. I mean, for the price of that, and that was a $100 game, so half of the price of what they're offering for HeroScape, and it was really, really poor. It wasn't worth $100, so I cannot imagine that this is anywhere close to worth the $250 with the quality of their plastics.
As someone who didn't buy HeroQuest, but played it about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Like, mechanics aside, because they are what they are, and I want to actually want to try playing it again now that we kind of know what we were supposed to do, right? But the quality for HeroQuest that I saw wasn't terrible, but like you were pointing out, like one-sided tiles where
Right,
like you
yeah.
really could have printed on the back of this, or that could have been thicker. Or why was that design chosen? The wall looks exactly like a fucking floor
Oh,
tile, right?
That's
Like that was just ridiculous. So point taken about like if that's what you put out for Hero Quest and you're charging more than double, what's the quality going to be like? And people were just obviously not willing to take that risk.
Yeah, because they were risking that this was going to be 100% compatible, and they said it was, but with their pre-existing tiles and things, and it needs to be because people have hundreds of dollars invested in old, buying used tiles for HeroScape. So it's a shame. But the other thing that I was thinking too is this is also, if you have a community for a dead game, they are very DIY about it. They're scrounging used parts. They're probably making new rule sets. They're creating original expansions and scenarios and stuff. So, saying, okay, now give us some official thing that we may or may not be happy with and put a huge price tag on it, I think was a pretty big risk. And it just shows that Hasbro has no idea what they're doing with crowdfunding.
Hasbro should have taken a page from, it's not Project Nisei anymore.
Oh,
they
the
changed
Netrunner,
the Netrunner thing, but
they had to change. Or was it?
I don't think they had to, but I think I forget for whatever reason they decided to change the name recently. But like that is a pretty decent example, right? They're like, well, okay, we're all doing this as a labor of love. No one's really getting paid except for donations, but everything we release is print and play for free, and it's kind of official. If you want to buy printed cards that are durable, here's where you go, and we don't really make any much on it apart from just the shipping. That would have been, I mean, you would have had to do stuff different for physical things, but like as a way, like they didn't jump in and say, okay, now it's $50 for a set that's not really tested. And I'm not saying the HeroScape thing wasn't tested. I'm sure the rule sets were great, but like the price point, no, it doesn't work.
Well, the good thing about this is if they put it back on the shelf, then that means it's probably going to be available for somebody to license. So maybe a more competent company, or even Renegade, if they, I'm not sure what they're actually going to be doing as far as quality of the games and stuff, but if they get interested in this and figure out you should release this in small sets that kind of build up.
Or even just new rules, right? Here's like an updated, cleaned up official rules. Here's some more tiles.
Yeah, right.
And then slowly start to
and then start to because it would just take a few people that were in the community to kind of pay attention to like what direction people want, like the older players, what they wanted, and then what would be a good introduction. I don't think they thought about this at all. Just like with Hero Quest, I don't think they thought about it at all.
Well,
just
I think it's
reskin. Okay, just
only
redraw
nostalgia.
all this out.
It's only nostalgia. Remember this thing as a kid? You're an adult now. You've got the money for it. $250.
Yeah, right. And you can play it with your kids if you want, if you can afford it.
And they'll say it sucks.
Right. They'd be like, Dad, can I get back to my phone?
Yeah.
So that's a disappointment, and I was worried that was going to happen, but there's no way I'm supporting another HasLab project ever. It's just that
bad. Huh?
Yeah, it was really disappointing, really a waste of time. And it's just they got to know what's going on. They got to know the times that they're in. But because there's I mean they can pretend to be we're so big we can be ignorant, but now there's GameFound. There's not only Kickstarter now. There's so many other like specifically crowdfunding for specifically tabletop. So if they're not going to do something that's going to, get a bigger than the nostalgia crowd, but it doesn't seem like they're definitely not that concerned.
Well, I don't think they kind of have to be, and I think that's one of the problems with big companies going on to like crowdfunding things. They can say, "We'll make it if you like it enough." Right. Oh, you didn't. That's a you problem, right?
You prepay, please.
Like, and I don't want these companies to go bankrupt, but like I've said numerous times, I kind of feel like if you're going to be an official company, at some point you got to like step off the crowd, or I would want you to step off the crowdfunding thing and kind of be a company.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess though, in the current climate though, with production costs going up, shipping costs being ridiculous, it would be a pretty big risk for them to go all out with a HeroScape launch.
Okay, that's
toy stores are dead. Like there's not much of a even an outlet for this. So yeah, it makes sense that they were careful to do this, but so disappointing. But hopefully it'll just mean the IP now is not going to be tarnished and somebody can get a hold of it and do something wonderful with it. But we'll see, and not just milk your nostalgia. Yeah. But there's STLs out there.
Milk taste. Probably terrible.
Probably. So have you seen the Edgerunners anime on Netflix?
No, and I'm kind of not
Wow, really?
Intentionally. After CG Project Red was kind of...
Yeah. Well, this is totally... this is totally anime. This is like barely like
so
it's
not selling it.
It's got the sound effects,
least.
right? It's got the sound effects. Well, it's Studio Trigger, so they've done a lot of amazing stuff. So the kind of frenetic
the
motion and their
stuff
character
that makes me
design
feel old because I
animation.
can't figure out what the fuck is happening.
Right. So it's a really, I mean, it's just anime, so it's not amazing. But I think for cyberpunk people to see a series based on a game that like expands the world and recreates that world pretty well, but in a totally anime setting was pretty remarkable. I think it got people off guard, and I thought like the world and especially the internet was already like anime obsessed and doused in
now
it. Now
even more so.
Yeah, but it was surprisingly well done, because so many of those animation series based on video games or whatever are just garbage thrown out there. And this was actually a talented group of people that they had they used like a Franz Ferdinand song for the title track, and so it was like really odd combinations of things, because it's creative people at the studio that and I think there was a little, because they dealt with CD Projekt Red, there's a little knocking heads back and forth to try to work things out. This is what we want to do, and they're trying to tell them no, but it's like, no, this is our vision, we want to do this. So it's got a very specific vision, and it's great animation if you like Japanese animation. But anyhow, Artelsarian Games is releasing a Edgerunners mission kit, you can play 2077 in Cyberpunk Red as we speak. So this is going to be a starter set. They're calling it a mission kit, but it's kind of a starter set that bridges, because there will be a source book eventually for 2077, and this will be your first taste of that, because a lot of things change like in that game. Some of the mechanics and ways, like you can hack through cameras and do some pretty nasty things and set people's brains on fire just remotely and stuff, and that kind of stuff isn't in Cyberpunk Red. Right. So they're adding interesting mechanics like that, as well as so giving you a idea of the setting and the lore behind the Dark Future, Night City, and also the Edgerunners team from the anime series.
I was just about to ask, since you kind of called it like a starter kit, does that mean there's like pre-gens for the
maybe because
2077?
Yeah, they're talking about
characters?
Yeah, they're talking about the Edgerunners from that.
Why get this set when you can just build it in D&D, right?
Oh, that's right. There's 5e. Why would Why would we do any?
God.
So yeah, this will be a fun. And if you're excited about, if you're more excited about the world that you played in the PC console game,
or the anime, I guess that you want.
Yeah, right. If the anime's got you more inspired than going to a tabletop roleplay based on an 80s version, this might be what you want to do. So there's a source book, source book for everything, and so it's currently in development. There's no specific release date, but this is going to be. I'm sorry. There is a source book in the works. Sorry.
Right, in the works.
Yeah, and that's
kit,
the mission kit is coming before then as a kind of a starter set. So there'll be like smaller booklets in there to kind of with their lore primers and everything to get you up to speed and kind of show you maybe little hints about how they're going to the full rule set for 2077, like how that's going to work. So some of the new mechanics are going to be included in that. Yeah, so they did a decent job, and even in the console game, they did an update that included a lot of the locations and kind of character costume and stuff for the.
I wonder in this mission kit, can you choose your voice, but then have people refer to you with the pronoun that's most appropriate for your tone of voice, right? Because that's my take. Like, I'm not a video gamer, but like I couldn't escape fucking that, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is funny. So there is already, I think, Come On did an officially licensed Cyberpunk 2077 board game. Okay. So there's miniatures of those characters. No, not the Edgerunner characters, but there's miniatures of the characters from the game. So probably won't be too long before we see miniatures from the from Edgerunners. And
but I guess kind of bringing it back full circle. Like there's any number of 3D printed cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of cyberpunk. Miniatures.
Fucking escape the samurai engagement.
Right.
Like, that just. Oh man, that like sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is some great cyber. Oh, we hit the fucking Japanese clan.
Right.
Not with this. Oh, I don't need cyber Torii gates and all this.
Yeah,
sorry.
Right. You don't like neon edges on your katanas and all that?
No. Could we not have the cyber arms with the paper parasol. Oh,
right.
Christ. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so that's a good point though. This being a kind of starter set mission kit, this will probably be pre-gen, so there won't be character creation for 2077. Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably just going to be a set, an adventure to play. They don't. There's no details yet. And this is all, of course, leading up to the release of the 2077 source book. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. There's more and that game immediately had a really bad launch, but then it kind of resurrected itself. Like they kept on doing updates and developing it, and now they're doing one full expansion for it, and people are already excited. It's like the sales spiked.
Let's be honest, people are fucking excited for anything.
Right. But it's funny because it had really bad press right out and was unplayable on release. So for a lot of people.
I said actually played. I only said based on the number of memes that came up. I think like people talking about really, did you forget how bad this was when it first came out? Unplayable.
Right. Yeah, it was the first time though Sony offered refunds on for their digital sales. Yeah, so that
should
huge.
tell you everything. You're like, sorry, here's a refund. Wow.
It's so bad even Sony felt guilty for selling you something at full price that was busted. Yeah, so we'll take a look. I would like to see how they're going to recreate some of this stuff because for tabletop, there's a lot of mechanics in the game itself. The 2077 game is like, wow, that's going to be tricky it works well in a game, and it's really fast action in it, but what are the mechanics actually going to be?
10 die rolls, 5 hours later. Okay, so turn 2.
You're right. Yeah, combat will be laborious. Yeah. Right. So that's but Cyberpunk is still alive, and they've even announced there's talk CD Projekt Red is being courted by Sony, so Sony might be buying them. So that's why they've been announcing all of these new. There's a Witcher sequel, and there's more Cyberpunk and everything, and then so they're hoping their stock price gets up so that the owners will get a nice payday. Those greasy. Greedy. I meant to say greedy polls. I'm sure they're not greasy. All right. So if you like the Studio Trigger Edgerunners series, check that out. And it has art that is more the artwork is kind of updated. Probably that's still the painted Artasarian art, but kind of more 2077. All right. So that will do it for this week. A lot of licensed IPs.
Yeah, really.
Well, we're not playing any of it.
Nope.
We got Stargrave and Xenos Rampant to deal with. So where can people find you?
On Twitter until it fucking dies, right? Because I'm staying to cost that apartheid Clyde as much money as I can, as he tanks it. That's Hivemind, HYVEMYND, and I've pinned my card. It's that CARRD thing. That's just like a bunch of links to other places.
Nice.
Places. Yeah. Anyway, so how about you?
So I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoons, Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch, and abusecartoons.com is the website. If you want to read the cartoon, the 20 years of archives is located at gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you like what we're doing here with the weekly, please visit upturntable.com. So Upturn Table is where everything that we're doing kind of meets. There is actual plays series. There'll eventually be some more of us playing board games or something. Yeah, we gotta get some or Stargrave. Hopefully, Stargrave will be the next thing because we'll have miniatures galore.
And then possibly Oathmark.
Yeah, Oathmark. Oh yeah, right. Oathmark. Yeah, I gotta get a bigger table, I think, for Oathmark. But so look forward to that. And if you'd like to support what we're doing, please visit patreon.com/upturntable and become a weekling.
You can suggest something to go at the top of the
screen. Yeah, right. You can suggest the angle at which we should focus the camera. We look really tiny today because we're shopping for fantasy dwarves. So we
Speak for yourself. I'm elves all the way, bro.
That's right. Yeah, I noticed there was one optional head that had like the garden gnome kind of conical hat. I'm like, what is? Yeah. But I could see in a sci-fi thing that could be pretty cool if you did like weird,
garden gnomes.
garden gnome, armored troops. That would be pretty hysterical. But we'll be doing this again next week. And thank you so much for joining us. See you again next time.
Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Later, mortals.
Goodbye. All right.
Bye. Back to work.
Oh, yes. Work time. Okay, and I'll be right back. All right. A little moment of silence there. Sorry for always the mysterious 30-second return. And my Wi-Fi is sponsored by SoftBank. Okay, so thanks for everyone hanging out in the chat. The chat is not coming up, so I'll have to scroll to it on... So yeah, I apologize, anybody. The shared chat is not doing its thing, so anybody on Twitch may be not getting noticed. It's just... Oh, and but Restream is putting your YouTube messages into the chat on Twitch, so that's good. So hey, Matt and Miguel, how's it going? Oh, Donald Kelly, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. And Abyss, good to see you. Yeah, that's a shame. They're really treating Heroescape like that. It would have been better if they would have given it sold the license to somebody, or not licensed it to somebody that was going to actually take better care of it. I think just throwing it out there for a nostalgia grab. And I think somebody got greedy because they probably saw a popular community that was keeping the game alive. So they were just trying to cash in on that. So it's good that they're not able to do that. I think that is a good thing. Yeah. Is the chat even working? What a mess. It's probably a good thing that they weren't able to do with it as they wished, because like they said, like Hasbro even announced, they're just focusing on their core, like their big money makers, no risk, Dungeons and Dragons and Magic. But I think they'll find that they can screw those over as well. I mean, there's a lot of players getting pissed off with all that secret lair, whatever universes drop. Yeah. So like Miguel said, they might have the rights for the IP, but it's not moral. Yeah, they're definitely not. They were just trying to cash in, just like they're doing with Star Wars and Transformers and everything on those that fake crowdfunding they do. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're charging the people that kept their IP alive. I mean, that would be a dead IP without the internet and communities that are, hunting down those used tiles and everything. Yeah, it is really a shame, and it is too bad when companies try to cash in. Well, just the fact that they're using the Avalon Hill branding and stuff, they're already going after nostalgia. Matt misses angry cussy abyss. Nice. So Fantasy Flight Star Wars Legions is bigger. Multiple squads. Yeah, pretty nice. Yeah. The it seems popular. So we'll see. Yeah. The latest episode of Andor was great. I'm really loving that. I mean, they are doing stuff that isn't disruptive. Like they're showing you an imperial penal colony kind of slave labor factory, and it's interesting and original, and you're not thinking about how that fucks up, like, oh, so is this supposed to be, what does this mean for the origin of C-3PO? Like, they're not screwing up anything by telling these little stories, and it's reminding you of what is capable in what Star Wars is capable of. And I think with these bigger movies, I mean, especially the trilogy, that sequel trilogy, they really screwed that up. So it's nice to see. And it's funny because I had zero interest in an Andor series. I was like, why would they pick that character, and who cares? But they obviously saw, just like with Better Call Saul, like I wouldn't have picked Saul Goodman as the lead character of a spinoff series, but they must have seen something in Andor. Like he could be the origin of the anger and all of the abuse and everything that created the rebellion. Like he's a good kind of centerpiece for the origin of the rebellion. And no lightsabers and no cutie little puppets. So it's good. Yeah, there's very few alien anythings in there. And I think probably it's a budgetary thing. But I don't mind that at all. I think that's it's a good thing. And it's good to see characters with story arcs and tension, and people can die, and that the lead character isn't going to survive. Oh, thanks, Abyss, trying to behave. That's great. All right. Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd sell the HeroScape property to another company. Yeah, hopefully, they just don't put it away. Well, if they are actively, like this Renegade Games deal, if they are actively like putting stuff out there, because I think Renegade is also, was it Renegade who was doing the tabletop RPGs for G.I. Joe and Power Rangers and stuff? So maybe they'll be willing, once this fails, they're like, well, we got nothing else to do with it, we might as well give it to somebody, and hopefully they'll do something good with it. I don't know. It's a shame though, because obviously they have, they don't have the dies, the molds for the miniatures. They have digital sculpts, but they did all this work making factions and characters and everything for that new we may just never see that. All the work that was done for HeroScape may disappear, because if they sell the license, that I don't know if that's going to go, that probably wouldn't go with it. So all that work is just for nothing. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but we'll see. But yeah, sorry about the it's very IP IP heavy this week, but there was just Not a lot of exciting. I mean, the Chaosium was as kind of indie small press, but yeah. So Chris and I. So if you're following Hive Mind on Twitter, posted about the amazing Oathmark sale, and the actually, with the pound being really weak to the dollar right now, it's a pretty amazing deal if you guys have ever been looking at North Star miniature stuff. So the official stuff for Stargrave, Frostgrave, the Rangers of Shadow Deep, and Silver Bayonet, almost all the Joseph McCullough stuff, they do official miniatures. They do metal for characters, and then plastic sets. But the plastic sets are on sprues, and it's like old school where it's every little thing, every little dagger and backpack and grenade and everything is separate, so you can do crazy customizing and kit bash very easily. So you can mix genres, because you can take, a fantasy torso and put it on future, sci-fi legs and stuff. So they do a great job of that. And so we're just gonna, get those boxes and just bash them together and create armies for everything that we want to play for all of the Osprey games. So that should be good. Who is the company making the Star Wars Skirmish game? I'm curious, because I think it could actually compete with Games Workshop. Yeah, it's that I don't think they're doing a good job. They're pretty popular. That Atomic Mass Games. I think the guys that do Marvel something Protocol, which is popular, but I have zero interest in playing a Marvel miniatures game. Crisis Protocol. We have Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is, I think, is just a few characters. Like, you put together your little Fantastic Four or whatever, your little trio of superheroes, and bash each other. So yeah, it's a Atomic Mass Games. And people were talking about, they had announced that they had the Star Wars license maybe pre-pandemic, and then no one heard a word for a couple of years. So they were getting pretty paranoid about this. So I think this announcement is a big relief for people. There's no exact release. It's June 2023, and who knows if there's going to be any complications to that. But people were wondering, because there was and the thing I forgot to mention too is they're going to show it off, a preview of the game at Adepticon 2023. So I think that'll happen in the summer, probably right around the release time. So we'll actually get to see it. But yeah, if it looks very prequel based, so not very interesting. And I don't even know if a original trilogy setting for Skirmish is even that interesting to me, because I know Legion is popular, but when I'm seeing people painting stormtroopers and stuff, that looks like the least interesting miniature to paint. I don't know why. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fun variations now with this, sequel trilogies and, Clone Wars and everything. There's a lot of interesting variations on trooper armor. So there should be some interesting miniatures in there. But when I just saw some of the stuff for Legion and just like, Darth Vader pointing and whatever, it's like, I don't want to paint that. It just doesn't look particularly fun. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about the named characters in a Skirmish game that's less interesting. I guess I'm just spoiled with how Games Workshop handled Skirmish with Kill Team and Necromunda and stuff. You make your own team, and it's your original guys, and you make their whole backstory and everything. And what if you have Han Solo and whatever? It's like, yeah, you don't have a lot of leeway with what those characters are like. So for Skirmish games especially, I really like the ability to the narrative part of that. And when you're doing IP based stuff, there's much less of that, I think, unless you're doing original stuff. Yeah, so Matt was saying, or Matt asked us that, so that was somebody was wondering, I think on the Wargamers website, they were saying if it is the same company and they're kind of using the same system, can you cross over? Because they're both Disney properties. Yeah, so you can have Luke Skywalker versus Doctor Doom. So it's possible. I mean, the game systems, and if it's not, somebody will make it make it so. There'll be a PDF floating around of somebody making those rules work together. Yeah. Oh yeah. Abyss is saying the Star Wars in general is very basic and safe when it comes to stories. Yeah, that's the neat thing about Andor is kind of the personal dramas are pretty interesting. There's a lot of characters that you wouldn't think you would really care about and aren't super Star Wars, aren't super. It's just that there's these small dramas about people that are ruining their lives or giving up a lot, sacrificing a lot to assist this rebellion. And they do a nice job of like, 2 levels. Like the Mon Mothma character is like in the elite class of Coruscant, and she's risking all of it, kind of being the head of this and manipulating politicians and things to get financing for the rebels. And then they show the people that are on the ground, dying in the mud to either steal from the Empire or whatever. So it's really well done and well thought out. It's doing more than I think a lot of people expected from Star Wars. And I think we had that really bad precedent with J.J. Abrams dumbing down Star Trek. And then that just became, and I don't think that was even that successful. Like they barely made 3 movies. They barely got a trilogy out of that. And that dumbing down, all of a sudden that was like, just like dark became the thing to do, like for after Dark Knight trilogy, dark heroes was a thing that DC did. Dumbing down popular stop smacking microphones, dumbing down popular IPs that have a very rabid fan base to get more mass appeal became a thing. And I think that's kind of what happened to, Star Wars was already pretty dumbed down, but just doing this weird thing to try to broaden the audience. And I think it's they should have got more specific. And we had hope, like those, if Solo wouldn't have failed so bad, we had those Star Wars stories that were stories outside of a trilogy, outside of this main storyline that could have been more interesting. They kind of filled in the holes, like how did they get the Death Star plans, that filled in little holes in the overarching story that would have been interesting, and they just completely blew it. It's amazing that Disney completely botched Star Wars, so much so that there isn't a Star Wars movie in development. Brutal. Oh yeah, Luthen. That's Andor. Yes. Yeah, the Luthen, and they actually, unlike Rings of Power, they actually cast known actors. We have the Skarsgård, whichever Skarsgård that is, playing Luthen, and there's recognizable faces. The actress that was she's been in a couple of things, but there's like recognizable good actors in that show. Oh, and even blank. There's recognizable Academy Award winning actors in that show, and I don't know why, if they're going to bother doing things like that they're not going to go for talented people that have some screen presence and stuff. I'm totally blanking on Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. I'm totally that actor. I'm totally blanking on. He played the guy with the robot leg in Rogue One. Totally blanking. But Darth Mouse. Yes. Oh, that's right, Miguel. That's right. There's another Indiana Jones movie coming out. Yeah, somebody was able to, with their phone, like record that trailer that was at the Disney 23 or whatever, that Disney convention, and then it was shot from this like strange oblique angle, and then somebody straightened it out in After Effects or whatever. So that looks pretty terrible. Yeah, that that movie looks like the death of Indiana Jones. And it's not even Harrison Ford. It's going to be Harrison Ford. Every time Indiana Jones is sitting in a chair, it's going to be Harrison Ford, but everything else is just going to be his face, like, deep faked onto stuntmen. Oh, sorry. No, I don't think we've spoiled anything too bad, but there's good stuff. Yeah, there's really good stuff in Andor. So if you haven't seen Rogue One, it's probably worth watching Rogue One just to get like what they were trying to do originally with Andor, with the Andor character, and then this kind of starts to fill in. You realize why he's so ruthless, and kind of what he's come from, and that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be like, Alec Guinness just saying, I'm going to sit on this log and read my lines and get my check and get my back end is probably what Alec Guinness liked the most. Yeah, I forget, there was some quote of his about how much money he made from Star Wars, and how sad he realized, oh wait, they killed me. I hope they can bring me back. And then we had the Force Ghosts became a thing because Alec Guinness wanted more money. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, definitely check out if you haven't seen it. Check out Andor. It'll make you happy because it's an unmerchandisable Star Wars property, which I think they need to start doing more of. I think they need to stop thinking about, because merchandising is dead for that property. They've done multiple movies now where they've just had to throw all of their all of the plastic they made in the trash. Yeah, so we will see. Yeah, because they're promoting the Acolyte. They did some more casting releases for the Acolyte, so that's a High Republic timeline show. But if they do it, it's going to be a bunch of Jedi. But if they're proto Jedi or whatever they are, then. But if they do it more like Andor, where it's grittier, more realistic, and there's actual tension. But if it's going to be lost, I suspect that show is going to be more like Rings of Power, where they have no idea what they're doing with it. It doesn't feel like Star Wars at all, and it's just like some funny costume drama set in kind of a lame sci-fi thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there's a headline that said, yeah, they might do a hard reset on fanfic of the Rings. Yeah, because immediately they talked about like backgrounding the showrunners and keeping them on maybe as writers, and then that's great, because that was when I first heard that Amazon, and that was like 5 years ago or whatever, when Amazon was going to be doing a Lord of the Rings series. I was like, oh no. Well, that's another one that follows also along the dumbing down thing to make it work for a wider, more non-fan audience. When I initially thought of that, I was like, set in the Second Age, wow, this is going to be too dense, and the history and the story and everything, it's going to take a lot to get into this, but if they do it right, it could be really, really good and a really like valuable part. And of course they didn't. They just dumped it down into a telenovela on with elves, and really screwed it up. But when I first heard that announcement, I was like, wow, that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a popular show, but it could be, a really wonderful, contribution to, works of Tolkien on film. And of course not. Of course they had to make it into a romance between Galadriel and Sauron. A meet cute on a raft. Yikes. Yeah, that would be pretty cool if they just started again. They said, okay, so we showed you how elven rings are made, so let's do something else now. But that show had, I guess some British people or Australian people or whatever knew some of those actors, but they were all unrecognizable, nobody actors that barely were doing their jobs. And that was the thing that was so strange. One of the criticisms I was listening to is how much they screwed up elves. Like elves that have lived for thousands of years aren't twitchy and vengeful and weird. They are, and how they were played in the Peter Jackson films, even the elves that were in The Hobbit, they're kind of world weary, and they are slow and thoughtful, and like they don't they're on a different, their life is a different scale and different pacing. So some of the actors have done interesting things with that, with making the way that they speak. Like I'm thinking of the Elven King in The Hobbit. I'm going to blank on names, but just the way they deliver lines and they speak down to people, because these are people of short lives, and I really think they blew it, because none of the elves kind of feel like elves. Even the Elven King of Elendil, the Elven King in Rings of Power, he doesn't even pull that off, and he's a little chunky. He looks a little chunky. Elves need to slim down a little bit. You need to do some long distance running. Halberd was the best. Yeah, the best part of the show. So he's going to make him a sympathetic character. Yeah. Afraid he became a sympathetic character. Yeah. The elves really sucked. And it's weird that they thought, flawed. What is that thing that they keep? We have to do these flawed characters. So we have to do flawed and failed Luke Skywalker. We have to do a flawed and failed Galadriel. Is that the only way? Like failure is the only thing these people can write. To like any young writers, the only thing they can understand is like being a loser. Yeah, the dwarves worked well. They were less annoying than they were in the Hobbit. I think they did a nice job of depicting a better job of depicting dwarves than they did elves. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, they should just shift over to a all dwarf based storyline. Forget the elves. You can't do elves. Yeah, but it's really amazing. And the early talk about how they want this to be their Game of Thrones. They want the Rings of Power to be Amazon's Game of Thrones, like super popular fantasy series. So they have intimacy coordinators or coaches or whatever. So it's going to be adult. It's going to be grittier. And obviously they jumped way back off of that because all you have is a little high school, like timid, infatuation going on. There's nothing passionate or anything, and which is not appropriate for Tolkien. That's insane that they would, even consider. Leave that to other people to, trash up fantasy to make a, Tarantino style fantasy. That's for Game of Thrones, which there, already is another series. Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Mr. Shades, thank you for the sub. And you rolled a 20. Very good. I like how the die at the end, whatever it rolls, it leaps over to 20 because you're always rolling crits here. Thank you for the sub. And I actually saw a notification. Do you believe that? All right. Let me see if I've missed any others. Nope. That's good. Oh, and thanks. A couple days ago, Vanessa Hart subscribed. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Oh, so the Wood Elf dude with the lady really tried with his role. Yeah. Everything definitely failed. Yes, that's very true. Oh man. Okay, so wait. This is very messy. Oh, and we've got some nice spam going on. Looking on Tinder for girls? Nice. Yes, somebody has found this channel. Nice. Yeah, I think that's right, Abyss. Yeah, the showrunners just made a Netflix level show that was just terrible. Nice. Thanks, the Mr. Shades, and stop by next week, and we'll be doing this again, and hopefully I can keep some of this spam out of the. Hey, where's that? Oh, I think maybe Matt is. Matt is got some lousy internet and is visiting family, so the wrench can't be wielded all the time. All right. Okay, so that'll have to do it for this week. But yeah, and we'll be back. So we weren't able to do just because of internet connections and things. We weren't able to do any John Carter this week, but we will get back to it, and it's going to be really fun. I really regret that we aren't going to be able to sit around a physical table with a big map of Barsoom and play this next part of the campaign, because it's really cool. It'll be really fun. So, there's Matt. Oh, yeah, nice. We're double timing out that spam bot. Thanks, Matt. I was worried maybe your connection gave out on you, but John Carter next week. Let's do it. I really wish we had the giant Modifius map on a table that we were sitting around, because we're going to be doing some city traveling, some city hopping next week. All right, so everybody take care, and we'll update you if when that big oath mark. It's like 7. No, it's an unsplittable number. I think it's nine sets or something of fantasy miniatures, and so Chris and I are just going to bust that open and kind of kit bash and pull together pieces for little skirmish bands and things we want to build, and probably do some Oathmark. I've got a bunch of fantasy stuff that I can use for Oathmark, and I got my old dwarves too, my old world Warhammer, old hammer dwarves that would be awesome in Oathmark. So hopefully we'll be playing that one of these days, but skirmish sounds more realistic at the time, and we've got a skirmish sized table right now. I'll have to put together a bigger table. I gave up, so that we have placement for the camera and monitors and stuff, I gave up our full 4x6 war game table for now, but it can be recreated. All right, so everybody take care, and thanks. Matt and Miguel and Abyss, it was great to see you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out in the chat, and thanks for the new sub and all that good stuff. So we'll be back again next week, and hopefully some interesting stories, or at least some interesting stuff to talk about that's not related to IP licenses and how bad Hasbro is at satisfying their customers. All right, take care everyone, and see you next time. Goodbye.